What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show, hour number 3. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And we are going to go to Mark in North Carolina. Aloha, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike, I know you're probably not talking about this right now, but I just received a message 20 minutes ago from Alex Jones, as you know, on my Facebook there. You know, and I decided, let me see what he's talking about, because he was talking about the Megan Kelly interview. He's losing it, man. This isn't the Alex Jones that I know, that I used to be a fan of, and that brought me into the alternate media, really. He's now saying that, you know, he's practically begging this witch, and that's what she is, a witch, to not hold that, you know, not show the interview on Father's Day. Evidently, she's planning on holding on Father's Day because of the Sandy Hook business. But first of all, the Sandy Hoax business, excuse me. First of all, he should have known better than to be interviewed by her in the first place. Now, Vladimir Putin was interviewed, but Putin is one of the smartest men, I think, in the world. He's probably got an IQ close to 200, and he knows how to handle her.
Yes.
Okay? Jones didn't. Instead, Jones now is concerned about Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook is a hoax, a total hoax. Nobody was killed there. Adam Lanza is a fictional character. He didn't even exist. I've talked to Wolfgang Halbig many times. I've contributed money to his cause. All right, he's wide open on what he said. Like I said, he puts his phone number out there. He's of an experienced school safety, very experienced school safety expert, former principal, former teacher, former state trooper, former customs inspector, and myself as an ex-law enforcement officer. I'm telling you, the man couldn't do his research much more thorough. This never happened. It was put on by crisis actors.
We understand that. We understand that. But actually, Alex may be off the hook because the latest word I'm getting is that NBC has come down on Megyn Kelly very, very hard for legitimizing Alex Jones and, by extension, the independent media as a whole by planning on giving him airtime on her program. NBC may actually spike that interview themselves.
Well, even if they do, I mean, for Jones to get this upset and this uptight, first of all, he's given a cold shoulder for the last couple of years to Wolfgang Halbig. Even though Rob Dew's uncle, who's an ex-FBI agent, had talked to Dew and told him that there's something very strange about this. This does not seem right, this whole thing about Sandy Hoax. You don't run away from stuff like that. I know you don't run away from it.
Nope.
And I know a lot of other people don't run away from it. It's all over the net. John B. Wells has contributed money to this man. He's had him on his show numerous times.
We've had him on our show.
Huh?
We've had we've had Wolfgang Halbig on this show.
I wish you'd have him on again. Boy, that man is great. He is a true, real, honest-to-goodness patriot. He's a refugee, by the way, he's an immigrant to this country from Germany originally, came over as a young boy, so proud to be an American. He's everything this country at least once stood for. This guy is just, and he was shocked when he found this out. He just thought he could, you know, help a little bit and then he saw so many discrepancies, he realized there was something wrong. And then they actually sent cops to his house to threaten him.
Yeah, I remember.
The state of Connecticut somehow got local deputies to come to his house and threaten him. He told them where to go, but I mean, that shouldn't have happened either. I mean, so obvious that this is a hoax.
Yes.
Jones is running away from that now. He is running away from his own supporters. He's running away from the alternate media. That's what he's doing now. I don't know. Maybe he wants to impress. Maybe he thinks Trump wouldn't like this stuff about Sandy Hoax. I don't know what the deal is.
Well, let me come out here and give you a couple of things to think about. First of all, we know that Alex is constrained by the interests of the people who invested in his network to build the studios and all the rest of it. It was a huge amount of money that came on in, and nobody writes a check. I don't actually know, but I'm just saying when somebody comes on in and offers you a few $1 million to build a network and studios and everything, they're going to be tapping you on the shoulder and say, this you can talk about, this you can't talk about. We know that Alex is a strong supporter of Israel and always has been. There's a YouTube video of him on one of his earlier radio shows just saying out there, I stand with Israel and all the rest of it. There may be something else that's going on. Alex Jones has been getting more and more attention from the corporate media, and Alex Jones may be thinking that he can actually do a crossover where he maybe now be dreaming. He's gone as far as he can with the independent media, has done very well, and he may be thinking that he could actually make the jump over to the corporate media side. I mean, he wouldn't be the first. Rachel Maddow was originally, when she was out there starting, she was considered independent media. And Alex Jones...
Well, then he'd be a sellout.
Well, we certainly saw that with Rachel. But Alex, maybe that may be his ambition. That may be his ambition. That would explain why all of a sudden he's not going to be going at Sandy Hook and the rest of it.
You know what this reminds me of? I know you're a big movie fan and all that.
Yeah.
The old movie, I'd like to see it again, too. Hopefully they'll show it. They should really do a remake. Viva Zapata.
Yes.
Right? Marlon Brando was the chief. He was an Indian chief. It's a real story. I mean, it's based on a real story. I think for the Yaqui tribe.
Yes.
And he was one of the revolutionaries to take over Mexico. And Anthony Quinn was like his, assistant, his deputy chief. Okay, and he finally succeeded to take over. And then he started doing stuff that the previous dictators started doing. And Quinn came over to him and said, look, he went over to Brando and he told him, hey, look, you're doing the same. Who was Zapata? He went over to Zapata and told him, look, you're starting to become the same thing that we all fought against so hard. And he said, and he realized he was right. And he said, now what this is all historically true, I'm not sure. And he stepped down, and that was it. That's what Alex Jones should do. He's becoming too big. He shouldn't be looking at this. He should be looking at who brought him to the dance. Okay? He's always put himself out there as a patriot above everything else. If he's, and as far as Israel goes, I heard him, over 9/11, he brought out the fact about the dancing Israelis and things like that he thought the Mossad was behind it. I don't know if you know this guy, One Race. He calls himself One Race. He's on YouTube. He even brought out some of old Alex Jones' old shows and all that. Some of the things he said. He's just, like I said, if he's going to sell out, he should get off the air, because then he's becomes a total phony. No longer a member of the alternate media.
I'm not going to join you on that one. Again, first of all, because I don't think the independent media has reached a point where we should allow ourselves to get into faction fights with each other. I would like to see the independent media pull together to create a single network that would have the resources and the reach rivaling those of the corporate media networks. As far as Alex Jones, he has the same First Amendment right to his opinion that the rest of us do.
I agree.
And the final determination, though, will be his audience. Is he gaining audience? Let me finish the thought. I'm hearing the anger in your voice. I'm hearing the anger in other people who've called in about Alex Jones. I get a lot of email about him. And ultimately, if his audience feels that he is turning on them, they will simply start to go someplace else. And Alex Jones's numbers are going to go down. And that's the way it is supposed to work. Again, I don't agree with much that Alex Jones says, but I have to be, in the spirit of full disclosure here, I still have a tremendous amount of gratitude to Alex Jones, because he was the one who got me my first talk radio show 10 years ago, and I really can't talk about Alex Jones or think about him without remembering that, he did do that for me. And so there's always going to be that gratitude. And a little bit of respect out of that situation. So that's where I am on that, okay?
Yeah, I understand about, everybody standing together, and I agree. I agree with that. But for crying out loud, don't go spit at a guy like Wolfgang Halbig. This guy's not rich. This is a guy who's a regular, guy, a retired man living, in a small house there in northern Florida somewhere. He's a good man. All right, he's trying to be he's being a patriot, and he needs all the support he can get. He should be in all your shows. I'm not just saying yours. I mean all the various shows. This man needs our support, and not to be belittled and not because he's trying to impress us. Now he's trying to say because Megyn Kelly got him upset about this. I don't care what Megyn Kelly says. I couldn't care less. That woman is a fraud. She's a fraud from the word go. She's the one who he even thinks we should be forced into taking vaccines. The woman is no good. I don't know why he gave an interview to her in the first place.
Like I said, I think he's courting the corporate media. I think he wants to cross over.
Oh, he's going to cut his own throat if he does that. I hate to say it.
No, I don't know. It worked out well for Rachel Maddow.
Yeah, Rachel Maddow's on the left, though. He's not. Okay?
Okay.
Rachel Maddow is basically in tune with MSNBC and stations like that. Jones isn't even liked by Fox, let alone the leftist stations. Okay? He's not, they're not, if he thinks the corporate media is going to turn to him, he's crazy. It just ain't going to happen. The best thing would be, like you said, the alternate or the independent media finally gets together, we get our own TV stations, our own radio stations, and we go after the corporate media and we put them out of business, hopefully.
Okay,
they don't deserve to be in business.
We don't have to go after the corporate media. They're doing a very good job of destroying themselves. You can look at their audience numbers, their readership, their ad revenues. Remember, it was about a month ago somebody exposed the websites for the corporate media outlets were using Chinese click bots to artificially inflate their readership, which is defrauding their advertisers. And we just sit back and let them do it to themselves.
And by the way, people got to get on that Glenn Beck. People got to turn off Glenn Beck. This man is an aberration. He's the one, by the way, who started this whole Russian nonsense. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Last July. He actually started a year before when he talked about Alexander Dugin. Like he's behind all the fascism and everything else going on in the world. And then last year, around July, he started the whole thing again, how the Russians were behind Donald Trump and all that. He's the one who started this.
Well, apparently, Glenn is now out there saying that his departure from Fox News is a liberal plot to get conservative voices off the corporate media. But again,
he's not a conservative voice.
Well, that's what he's saying is going on. Anyway, Mark, we're going to let you go. We're going to take another phone call from James in St. Thomas. Aloha. Welcome to the show. Oh, first of all, we're going to do we're going to do a shout-out to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining our network. I missed that at 6 after. Okay, James, go ahead. What's on your mind?
Hey, on my call.
I'm having trouble hearing you. Could you say that again?
Yes, I'm thinking afternoon to you. I was calling to see whatever happened to John Dung in Barbados.
He passed away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were all very saddened by that.
Okay, because I listen to the show almost every day, and I have not heard him. So I was trying to figure out what happened to him.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that said, I was just calling to tell you you're still doing an excellent job after all this time I've been listening to you, and you have a lot of big fans in the Virgin Islands. So we're still looking forward for you to giving up Hawaii and perhaps moving to the islands, you know.
Well, I did love Barbados. I did love Barbados when I was down there. Claire and I would really like to move back to the mainland before we get in a shooting war with Russia and China. And we're just trying to figure out a way where we can make that happen. Unfortunately, it is very expensive to move here, to move to the mainland from here in Hawaii, mostly because we have so much that we have to take with us that we simply could not replace on the other end. Claire's harp, for example, all of our computer equipment, our production equipment. We're ready to leave everything else behind, all the furniture and everything else, but there's still a large amount of material, and we're looking at the possibility of getting one of those pods and pack it ourselves, because the estimates we got from the professional movers are all in the range of $25,000 to $30,000. And, of course, when we get to the other side, we're going to have first, last security on a new place to live. And it's going to be a huge, huge project. But we are trying to get back to the mainland. And as soon as it happens, we'll all let you know, okay?
Okay, good. And one more thing. Whatever happened to Joyce Riley? I don't want so much hear her voice on radio, the network.
Her health is very, very bad, and she's probably not going to be with us for much longer if she has not already passed.
Wow. glad to hear that she, along with you, shared the #1 position.
Yeah.
But, I just hope the best for her, and hope things take a turn for the better. But know there's a lot of people trying to get into your show. I'm gonna give you my best wishes, and I'm listening every day. I don't miss one show. Okay? You continue to go to work, and we love you. Come on to St. Thomas when you're ready.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love the Virgin Islands, and let's see. I'm trying to find out the latest on Joyce Riley. The last I heard was that she was in a hospice. So we'll get an update on that. All right, James, thanks an awful lot for the phone call. We're going to let you go. Now, getting on back to Europe and Brexit and EU and the rest of it, apparently Bulgaria is now advocating for Bosnia and Herzegovina to integrate into the European Union. I'm not sure what Bosnia and Herzegovina are thinking about that. They have to be looking at all that is going on inside the EU to the member nations. In fact, the Czech Republic has now joined Poland, Hungary, and Slovakia in refusing any more of these migrants that are coming on in. So that's a very tense situation there. Now, as a result of Theresa May's declines in the last election, the Remainers in Great Britain are seeing an opportunity to possibly soften the Brexit or even put it on hold or even possibly get rid of it, forgetting, of course, that the British people voted for this. But unfortunately, in Great Britain and in Europe, as is often the case here in the United States of America, the politicians are unconcerned with what the people want and far more concerned with what their financial backers and colleagues are interested in doing. And we know that that push for a new world order, a global government, is still out there, although apparently Jacob Rothschild was overheard making a statement to the effect that he thinks the project is pretty much failing at this point. So we'll see where that goes. Now, in response to the story we had in the first hour about Reuters completely reversing what came out of Comey's testimony, somebody actually sent me this article where somebody caught ABC News re-editing the video of Comey's testimony to make it look like James Comey was talking about Attorney General Jeff Sessions instead of Loretta Lynch, and about Donald Trump instead of Hillary Clinton, trying to do a very clever edit to put the spin on there. And this is why the corporate media is in serious trouble, because more and more people are now aware that this is going on, and nobody likes a liar. Nobody likes a liar at all. So let's talk about human-caused global warming. And apparently the founder of the Weather Channel, John Coleman, is making the rounds being interviewed. He was interviewed on CNN, and apparently the interview did not go well for CNN. They're already out there pushing the global warming, got to have a carbon tax, got to have a carbon tax. Humans are warming the world. And more and more people are speaking out saying, this isn't science, it's politics. It's political. None of this stuff followed the scientific method. There's no reproducibility. The real world is not lining up with all the dire warnings that came out of the global warmists over the last 10 years. It simply has not happened. And to underscore the fact that we may actually be going into a new mini ice age, they are getting snow out in the west down to 5,800 feet in California's Sierra Nevada this morning. This is June. Down to 5,800 feet. It's a major, major storm. More when we come back. Aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. And we're talking about human-caused global warming and how the indications are that we are actually headed into a new mini ice age. We know that the amount of energy that we receive from the sun is the dominant factor that controls climate here on Earth, and solar output is very low right now. Looks like a repeat of what was called the Maunder Minimum that triggered the last mini ice age. So they're having snow out in the Rocky Mountains down to 5,800 feet. That is unheard of in the month of June. And apparently there is a nor'easter traveling up the east coast of the USA and Canada this week, and they're saying they may get snow out of that in June. Now, as you know, we have these out-of-season blizzards and unseasonable cold across the nation, and they've tallied up the numbers and discovered there was a 25% loss of the wheat crop for the spring of this year. I know they came on out early on and said, you know, the cold and the blizzard had nothing to do with it, but no, that isn't it. It's been a major, major difficulty here. Now, speaking of crunching the numbers, apparently somebody is out there in California looking at what Arizona's legalization of marijuana has done, and they have concluded that legalizing marijuana will boost California's economy by $5 billion. And they're starting to talk about legalization in California as well. Now, this report came out of the University of California Agricultural Issues Center. And they said the legalization of the drug will provide the state a further reason for tourists to visit. Yeah, they saw that in Arizona. People want to go where they can have fun and not get harassed for it. Meanwhile, more and more attention is being brought to bear on the opium overdose problem here in the United States of America. In fact, right now, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein is saying drug overdose is now the leading cause of death for American adults under the age of 50. And yes, some of it is coming from that street opium that's coming over from Afghanistan. There's a lot more of it that is coming on from the prescription industry, prescription opioids. Remember last week we reported where they're actually starting to prosecute these pharmaceutical corporations for incentivizing doctors to prescribe these opiates to get patients hooked, get them addicted, so that they're going to go on being loyal customers and a constant stream of revenue. That is how corrupted the medical industrial complex has become. It's not about your health. It's not about curing anything. It's about selling constant treatments. And if necessary, creating the condition that requires the treatments. In this case, opium addiction. Now, over at the Fluoride Action Network, they're getting ready to file a lawsuit that could conceivably ban all water fluoridation in the United States based on recent evidence confirming that fluoride is a neurotoxin. It damages your nerves and your brain. And they're going to try and take it to court and say this practice must stop. Now, it's already been established that drinking fluoridated water has no effect on tooth decay, which was what it was sold about. Oh, we're going to put fluoride in the water and your teeth will be white and shiny and never have any cavities. Actually, in a lot of places, it turned the teeth brown. But that's okay because now we have our whitening strips we can sell you. But along with being a neurotoxin, fluoride is also a very mild tranquilizer. And maybe one of the reasons we have not had major rioting across the country or a new civil war is that people who are drinking fluoridated water are a little more relaxed and hard to rile on up. And this comes right out of Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, where everybody was medicated by law. And we are there with mandatory vaccines. We'll be right back after these commercials. And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. And I must have said something that angered somebody because the children have just launched a massive denial of service attack on my web server. And so we'll just let them have their little tantrum and roll around on the ground and kick and scream and cry that the world is not the way they want it to be. And eventually they'll get tired and they will go away. Now then, as you know, there is a continuing concern over the problem of aging nuclear reactors that are being allowed to operate past the end of their design life. Now, when you build a nuclear reactor power plant, it is designed for a certain amount of time, because under the heavy neutron flux, the metal in the reactor itself and the containment vessel starts to fatigue. As the neutrons pass through, it weakens the metal bonding, and after a while it starts to get brittle and fragile, and at that point you shut it down and decommission it. And because reactors are so expensive to decommission, not to mention replace, a lot of reactors are saying, well, we're pretty sure things are okay, let us run for another 10 years. And unfortunately, governments are all too eager to say, yeah, we're going to go ahead and let you do that. But apparently over at the Tihange 2 Belgian Dole 3 nuclear power plant near Antwerp, they are starting to find major cracks. And there was another story came out last week where 2 other reactors in Europe were found to show an increase in the number of what are called the micro cracks. So again, this is a major, major problem. And again, I think it is very possible to have these technologies work. I think it's possible to have them be safe, to have them serve the community. You just have to take the safety decisions away from the money junkies. Because in every one of these disasters, what you find is that the engineers made recommendations as to what was needed to keep the reactor safe, or the dam safe, or whatever. And some executives said, we really don't need to spend the money on that. And again, the classic example of that would be Fukushima and its fellow reactors along the coast of Japan, because the power station at Onagawa, the chief design engineer who was responsible for building that, just stood his ground and said, I will not allow you to pull back on any of the safety systems we've designed. And it is a shame that he did not live to see the vindication of his policy, because Onagawa was the only reactor along that coastline that survived the quake and tsunami. We're going to take a phone call here. David in California. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Can you hear me okay?
I hear you just fine.
Okay, first off, number one, I got to say, I just love Claire. I'm a musician, too. Have been my whole life, and she just always comes up with really creative things, and I really appreciate you playing a lot of her.
Well, yes, and she's absolutely.
Yeah, she's great. But I have to question something you mentioned here a minute ago about the legalization of marijuana in California, in Arizona, and California's thinking about it.
Yeah.
Hello. I believe being that I grow it and smoke it and all that stuff, it's legal here. And you said Arizona, like Arizona's not legal.
Didn't Arizona decriminalize it? You can buy it recreationally?
I've never heard of that. Colorado certainly did, but...
Oh, I may have confused it with Colorado. My apologies to the good people of Arizona. Colorado, you're right. I'm wrong.
Those big square states get confusing.
Yes, they do. Actually, they really do. So where are you?
Yeah, we're good.
Where are you geographically?
I'm in Lake Arrowhead, California.
Okay, and you're telling me that marijuana is already legalized there?
I'm growing plants, sir.
That's
I can go up to 6 of them.
That's okay. That's medical marijuana.
No, recreational marijuana is legal in California.
Oh well, maybe I'll move back there after all.
There you go. Here comes Mike.
What do you think? We got the best pakalolo here in Hawaii. It's not legal. It's not legal.
What's the status of it there? Can you grow it legally or have it or what?
To be very honest, I don't think so. I don't know, because the actual truth is, for all my joking about it, I haven't indulged in marijuana since my first marriage, because recreational drugs remind me of my first wife, and I hate anything that reminds me of my first wife.
Gotcha. Well, that'll keep you straight. Well, anyway, I just wanted to make sure that we knew that California is actually recreationally and medically a marijuana state, and Arizona, to my knowledge, has fought it tooth and nail. But Colorado is, I think, what you meant.
Yeah, you're correct. I made a mistake. It's Colorado.
Okay. Hey, you're entitled. God, you're on the air all the time. So hey.
I do get a little bit scattered here. Here.
Well, it's okay. I've got a year or two on you, but it happens to me too. And I love your show, man. Keep hanging in there and fighting the good fight.
I will do my best here. Thank you very much for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Rob in Chicago. Aloha, Rob. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. Hopefully, again, your trip back here to the States gets quicker. I wanted to talk about the nuclear plants and that. It just, to me, I just don't understand. I know that all these globalists, basically, they probably have been over-fluoridated themselves, so they don't realize that allowing these nuke plants to sit there and rot away and the Hanford site and all this stuff, that we don't need to invest in, like, the tokamak fusion reactors that we just have to go with the old technology that's highly toxic and it'll ruin the earth. It cracks me up. And I know the Russians are getting into them.
Oh, yeah, they've achieved break-even with hot fusion reactors. There's also the thorium cycle reactors that are a lot cleaner. But the reason the U.S. continues to work with fission power reactors is you get bomb stuff out the backside.
Oh, yeah, and I did catch a major article and news over the weekend that out at the Oroville Dam, it was very validated, very documented that there was 31 trucks that brought 31 different atomic munition devices out from under the dam the day that it was about ready to collapse. They were storing them under there.
That's a little scary.
If you look up Paul Preston, I know he's friends with one of John's ex-cohorts, but Paul Preston's a very good guy, Agenda 21 Radio. He's out in the area. He's got eyewitnesses that were there. If you look up Paul Preston's thing, it's just really scary because when you get into, these were military grade because they used them all over the world when they went into do the nice regime change and blow up countries. What they would do is blow up the infrastructure first. They could use them to destroy dams and, of course, render the poor population, pretty defenseless. So they apparently, with the nice governor out there, Brown, the communist, he wants to get rid of all the dams. He's done everything in his power to divert money from maintaining them, repairing them, and everything else, but I wouldn't put it past him to have in mind to possibly take those little buggers and blow up a whole bunch of dams out there because he wants to go back to nature. And obviously that's part of their Agenda 21, idea. They don't really need all those people in California. They just can kill off a bunch. And everything will go back to natural then.
Well, it's a major problem. It is amazing where they store some of this stuff. We have an issue here in Hawaii where at the end of World War II, they dumped a whole bunch of unused munitions just in the ocean. And, if you get a mariner's chart, not a tourist map, but an actual mariner's chart for the islands, there are all these areas marked in red. Do not fish here. Do not do drag netting here. And you just stay out of those parts of the ocean. And there's actually a recognized fish dead zone just to the west of the entry of Pearl Harbor, and they're not even sure what's causing that. But it is an issue. And they're not very careful where they put this stuff. I guess the attitude is, well, we're just going to bury it here, and somewhere down the road somebody else will clean up the mess.
Well, I do highly suspect that a lot of this stuff is just carelessness, but I do believe that if you follow the story on the Oroville Dam and how much it affects everything, these crazy people in charge out there, or the backstabbing deep state, would have no issue destroying that dam, and it'll take out that you've said it, stated it, the rice producing area, number 2, number 3, depending on the time.
Yeah, but I don't see a reason for them doing that. I mean, frankly, I have to be very honest. I think it's a little out there. And I know there were people who are out there claiming that tall buildings are built with demolition charges built in. But the possibility of an unfortunate accident, I really don't see that. I understand that things are stored in certain inappropriate locations, but if you're out here trying to suggest that the Oroville Dam is actually built to be blown up at some point in the future, I have to say that that really does not make a lot of sense.
Well, I don't know. The point being is that would be one of the globalist last vestiges or last chances to cause that anarchy and out of chaos comes order. That's it's not that far of a stretch because we already know that.
Well, I think it is a stretch. I think it is a stretch. Thank you very much for the phone call. We're going to let you go here, and we're going to switch over to Rob in Chicago. Rob, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Rob, are you there?
Michael.
Yes. You're on the air. What's on your mind? Okay, we're going to drop Rob in Chicago. Let's go to Scott in California. Aloha, Scott. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, hello, Michael. I just heard your little comment about moving, and you mentioned $25,000 to $30,000 for a moving company. You can take your stuff. I don't know how much stuff you want to move, but you can take it over to the Madison terminal, and they'll stuff the box for you right there. And when you get to the mainland side, either Oakland or L.A., just bring your moving truck and load it back up.
We may do that. I've actually had a few suggestions sent in already on how to do this for much less money, and we're definitely going to be looking at less expensive ways to do that. So okay.
Okay, talk to you later.
All right. And I'm sorry for hemming and hawing, but my server just crashed, and I'm getting it back up and running again here. Okay, just 2 more here, and yeah, they're really attacking the server. I must have said something to upset somebody. I wonder what that could be. So just give me 2 seconds here, and they're already back in on it. They're pounding on it as hard as they can. All right, let's get this stuff going. All right, let's go here. All right, now then. Okay, do we have any callers on the line? I guess not. Okay. Now, there's a very good series on right now about Albert Einstein, and it's called Genius. It's a mini-series. It's actually pretty accurate. It does give fair treatment to his wife, who was actually quite a strong contributor to his theoretical work in a culture where women were not recognized as really belonging in the sciences until Marie Curie came along. And one of the things you need to understand is when Einstein came out with his theory of relativity, the world did not come out and say, oh, it's the theory of relativity, it's going to reshape everything. It was actually a lot of years where everybody thought Einstein was just full of it. And Einstein literally had to wait for a total solar eclipse because he predicted, because of relativity, that the gravity of the sun would cause starlight passing by it to bend slightly. And obviously the only way you're going to see that is with a total solar eclipse. So this eclipse came, and they took plates that captured the background stars, and then later on they compared them with plates taken of the same area of the sky when the sun was somewhere else, and discovered that, yes, indeed, the starlight had in fact shifted. The stars had appeared to move slightly outward from where the sun is. And that was the confirmation where they said, yes, this is what's really going on out there. Well, over at NASA Space Telescope Science Institute, they're using that same methodology to measure the mass of stars, because they're finding stars that are exhibiting what's called the gravitational lens effect, And by measuring how much the background stars are being distorted, they're able to go back through that math work and actually determine the mass of the star, which I think is a really good methodology. And they need to take it one step further, because one of the ways they've been estimating the mass of these planets that they see eclipsing stars is, again, just measuring at how much the light falls off. But even planets have enough mass to be impacting the path of light, especially when seen from hundreds of light years away. And they may be overestimating the mass of those planets by not taking that gravitational lensing effect into account and giving it a little bit of bias or a little bit of a correction factor there. So a lot of fun stuff out there. Now, as you know, I've often talked about how much human history has been lost to, for example, the ice ages and erosion and the occasional supervolcano over time, because apparently new fossil human bones have been found in Morocco that show humans as we are today have been on this planet for 300,000 years. And this idea that we have been on this planet this long and only developed writing and technology in the last 10,000 years, I'm not sure I go along with that. It's intriguing. We'll be right back. And aloha, America. Welcome back to the last segment of our program today. We're talking about all the kind of science stuff that we like here. They had a 6.3 quake in Greece earlier today. Not a lot of reports of damage or anything like this. Over in Myanmar, researchers have found a 99-million-year-old bird encased in amber. Now, amber, especially if you watch the movie Jurassic Park, amber will often catch small insects and creatures in them. Amber is used in making jewelry. And there are actually people who prefer amber jewelry with the trapped bugs, and then there are the purists who only want the amber that is absolutely clear on that one. But in this case, somehow an entire bird was encased in amber, and apparently the bird has teeth in it, which is one of the transitionary forms going from dinosaurs to birds. So scientists from China's University of Geoscience mined this specimen. It's 3 inches long. It's a little tiny bird, but it's still an entire bird. It's the most complete ever found from the Cretaceous period. So that is really an exciting find. There are a lot of areas in China that are rich with fossils that have never really been developed, never explored. And that's why so many brand new dinosaurs are now being discovered in China. Here in the U.S., it's all pretty much been mined on out. And again, fossils they're cool things to give to kids. We're still getting aftershocks following that 5.3 magnitude quake that hit the Big Island. And again, Claire and I didn't feel it, but apparently some people on Oahu did. Now, interestingly enough, over in New York City, they've noticed the humpback whales have started returning. And this is like the first time in a century. Something is going on where ocean patterns are changing. We know there's a lot of mass die-offs along the west coast of the U.S. A lot of people are concerned that it's petrochemical runoff or fracking fluid runoff, or it could be the result of radiation which is still leaking out of Fukushima. And maybe the humpback whales just decided or somehow intuitively knew that the Atlantic is now a friendlier place to be than the Pacific. But it is interesting to see. Now, we have humpback whales here in Hawaii. People like to go on out and whale watch. Claire and I have been out there with the whales a large number of times as well. Hawaii really is a beautiful place. But we have been here for a lot of years, and we're feeling that it's time for us to be someplace new, someplace closer to the action, someplace with better singers for my lovely, much-stressed choral composer wife. And she's out there in the other room laughing here. And if you had any idea what we go through to keep the current choir going, you would be absolutely amazed with that. And she's still out there laughing. So anyway, we're coming up here on the end of the program. And again, thank you very much for listening to our little presentation about the need for ongoing, continuing contributions to RBN. The only way we're going to get the big money influence out of our society is for all the little money to band together in support of getting the truth out there. Stay tuned for John Stadmiller's program. We'll be back tomorrow here on the Republic Broadcasting Network. Until then, share what you learn here with everybody that you can. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.